how I cut down ideation, editing, and distribution in terms of video production to almost zero, and to just have the recording itself left. I figured, what if I make just videos about the things that I already have thought through, mostly because these are problems that I already had to solve anyway. As I go through life, I have to solve problems. Now, whenever I have something that basically is above a certain interest threshold, so basically I'm thinking, oh, this is something I could post to the internet, then I make a video about it. What this allows me to do is to not have to have big ideation lists where I have to think about, okay, what video will I be making? I just record the things that for now I think are the most interesting. Now, because the things that are interesting to me always fall into different buckets because, well, my life consists out of different areas, I figured I need to create a channel network with basically every channel targeting one interest. One interest could be content production and in general what me, or rather basically me being my company, is doing. Another channel is, for example, about traveling. I then have sub-channels for these interest channels. One is filming myself, basically sometimes with graphs and drawings. One is just filming with my rear camera. I call the rear channel rear, the front channel front. The recording itself is actually the part I obviously enjoy the most. Not that obviously, because, well, it to a certain extent mostly depends, I think, on my ability to speak properly, which seems to be highest in my circadian morning and also in ultradian highs. In circadian evening and in ultradian lows, I often can not properly form English sentences. If now I assume an equal distribution, which is not what it actually looks like, then I already cut down 25% of my time spent per video. In terms of editing, I just figured I don't edit my videos, which left me the following solutions. Either I have a software such as TikTok, for example, that allows me to record take after take and then directly store the video. So basically, I am live editing my video. The other option would be to record the video just without any interruption and pauses, which I did also for many hundreds of videos, which probably optimizes for long-term speaking skill at probably mostly the cost of short-term video quality, at least if the main thing that determines video quality is my performance in the video. Because I can basically take my given performance and optimize it with editing afterwards by cutting out, well, speaking errors. In terms of distribution now, if I have a channel network already set, and of course now this is not so much, okay, I now create all of these channels, but rather, okay, I have these channels right now. Is there something that I would want to make a video about for which I would have to create an additional channel? And then every now and then I create an additional channel. So basically the whole process allows me to record the ideas as I have them and to create new channels as I need them. And to not have to make now new channels for the next 6 months or just 2 days to then finally be able to record the thing I had an idea on before. If I now cut down basically this year, and this year, if I now assume again an even proportion of this in terms of time, then let's assume I have 100 minutes of time spent for a video. Then 25 minutes of this would be recording time. Then 25 minutes would be the ideation time. Then 25 minutes would be the editing and 25 minutes the distribution. What the distribution mostly looked like, at least in the past, was in the different the workflows I had. One, recording videos on my camera. Then moving the files to my computer, in which I then sorted them according to channel, then uploaded them to YouTube, sometimes with titles and tags. The second workflow I used is to then rely on a phone. Once phones got sufficiently good, I switched to a phone. Actually, my camera broke before, and I figured I just now buy a more expensive phone, which was the Galaxy S10, which I still have not in two, but I have it 2 times. One is basically my video camera, and 2 is my normal phone. The phone is now 6 years old, but still, it's somewhat reasonable. The second workflow now was me recording these files all on my phone and then transferring the files locally onto my computer. So basically just replacing my camera with my phone. Before this, I actually already made videos for TikTok. And the TikTok app already basically had a live editing feature. So I could record, but also pause in between. But not only pause, but also remove a take where I had made a mistake, which I currently cannot do because I decided to now bet on YouTube. At least a couple of years ago, I figured, okay, I only post to YouTube because YouTube seems to be the platform that in the long term is basically the most aligned with the interests I have. But since the YouTube app, at least as of currently, has a bug after I record a video, I cannot proceed to the next step of basically publishing the video. And I now am recording this video for the 4th time. I figured I now record it with the camera again on my phone and then upload the file basically onto the YouTube app. Since switching to only recording in the YouTube app, which currently only allows to record 3 minutes, which I also kind of accepted as a threshold. Okay, what if I just have 3 minutes? Then I need to probably compress the information I have into a 3-minute video. Of course, this comes to a certain extent with information loss, but I figured also these 2-hour videos I sometimes made before is not necessarily somebody will ever watch. Or let's just put it like this. The statistical likelihood that somebody basically will stick through all of a 40-minute video is just lower compared to a 3-minute video. One can think of maybe every piece, let's just assume, okay, every sentence I say basically needs to have an overlapping interest. For somebody to watch the whole video, he needs to have basically all of those overlapping interests. He needs to still be interested in the next sentence and the next sentence and the next sentence. So the less I say, the more people potentially would be interested. If I'm interested in traveling, but also in finance, and the first sentence is about traveling, the second about finance, then I need to basically have a target audience which has overlapping interests of both to be basically interested in both sentences or also in both topics or also in both channels, which is why I have one finance channel and one a travel channel. But the finance channel has like 2 videos. So while I already cut down the ideation, I sometimes still keep basically task lists in which I just write down many ideas I have at one point in time, which I cannot possibly record. But also if I cannot possibly record these ideas, the problem is that this creates kind of a pressure to then record all of these ideas also. And then the next day I already think about different things. So I have different things that are salient, meaning the most interesting, which I then could make videos on, and which I also have the most information on because it's the information that is basically currently circulating in my brain anyway. If I then need to make a video from basically a video idea list from 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 months before, then the information is already gone because I always kind of have an ongoing forward bias of information and also of importance. So I figured I also need to think that the topic I am making, or rather the topic I am making a video on, is something that I actually myself am interested in. Only then can I properly convey, assuming basically that we are kind of all computers and that we kind of know if somebody is speaking about something but not really standing behind it. So by basically creating it as close to the point in time of the actual ideation, when the actual ideation in my brain occurred, I also can probably subconsciously and also with my gestures and so on, communicate kind of better what I actually was trying to say. Another big step was to not post any titles any longer and to basically use this format here as the main format. So this format here is landscape, not landscape, but portrait. And it's basically what I used to record on TikTok. So initially on TikTok, one could have shorts that were, I think, 15 seconds. Then they said, okay, it's 30 seconds. Then they said it's 60 seconds. I made a bet, just like with buying the Galaxy S10, that eventually all platforms would copy this. And that eventually I could just make videos and I could just start the video and basically based on how long I think this video should be, I could then just end the video when I think it was useful to now finish it. Thus, no distinction between shorts, basically the format of shorts, and also the format of longs. And this is to a certain extent now what YouTube is approaching. So YouTube now already displays kind of videos like these in a vertical format. Shorts now can be up to 3 minutes long, but one could also argue maybe eventually there will be landscape format videos, but also short format videos, which both will be in portrait. So I figured I cannot just record shorts and I cannot record longs and then I have to decide whether this idea is now a long or short and I have to decide it before. But what if I could just record idea after idea after idea, and basically the duration of the video was not a variable in the format itself, but the duration is basically a variable that is just not important. I can record an idea, and if it's 10 seconds, it's 10 seconds. And if it's 3 hours, then it's 3 hours. Thus allowing me to just record idea after idea after idea. Now we cancel out the ideation process. The recording process is now either recording me directly, mostly now with pausing in between, because I think it makes for a better short-term video, which then makes me feel not that bad about the video about the average video quality. If I just record myself speaking and I am not in a phase of the day in which I am the most alert, let's assume here we have basically a linear decrease of alertness throughout the day, basically the circadian cycle, and then we have on top the ultradian cycle. If I now assume that it's the end of a day, then I cannot properly speak any longer, and thus I now try to mostly record basically in my circadian morning, but I also kind of pause in between whenever I have to think about things in order to short-term optimize for higher perceived video quality, at least if I assume the main video quality determined is my ability to perform, kind of. In terms of the editing, I just decided I don't edit my videos. If I edit a video, then the time it takes me to edit the video, to import it into an editing program, whether this is on my phone or using DaVinci Resolve or another editing program on my notebook, the time it takes me to edit the video is probably longer than re-recording the video. By re-recording the video, I am again training my skill. By not editing my video, I am using the editing time and distribute it basically to the recording. And thus I am accelerating my video skill, my video speaking skill, but kind of also at the cost of potential video editing gains. But I figured by making my videos as close to reality as I can, I also decrease a couple of other negative side effects, such as if I make a video like this and then I meet a person in real life that watched my video and there is like a 50% decrease in perceived video talking skill or perceived intelligence or something like this, because I edit my videos to appear much more eloquent, for example, than I actually would be. Well, then this would come at the cost of basically this perception in the long term. So basically I try to record myself as close to the real me as I can, and as it makes sense. Thus, the only way I can basically improve the video quality is by improving my performance. And improving my performance seems to also be aligned with basically developing myself further in actual life. Now, in terms of the distribution, what I already mentioned, I'm currently trying is just recording with the YouTube app. Maybe I can record like 15-minute videos in the future, also with the YouTube app, also with this format. So for the last couple of weeks, I did not and no longer basically transfer files to my notebook or also record with OBS Studio, which I previously did. I used my phone with an OBS client and then basically recorded locally already onto my notebook or computer, but then still had to set aside time for uploading all of these videos, for selecting the video and then putting it into the right channel, in my case, or in this case, for example, the channel about this project of mine, basically creating video content for the internet. In summary, if I assume equal distributions, which I don't, but for the sake of the calculation, here 25%, here 25%, here 25%, so a reduction of 75% of basically time it would take me to produce one video. In other words, I multiply the time I have for making actual videos by 4. So assuming now there is a marginal increase in skill, I also basically fast forward my video skill by factor 4, at least if basically the skill gain and the distributed time to making videos would be in some way proportional. I assumed in this case linearly. Also, this means that I can make 4 times as many videos, at least compared to the situation in which I would spend 25% in ideation, 25% in editing, and 25% in distribution.